first time I heard they had a cute lead singer was a friend of mine named Kat Hartley, who was a movie actress, and she came screaming into Max's one night and said, "Oh, there's the cutest lead singer of a new group playing it on Dean's Folded Doors," at which point I said, I promised their person that I would go in and look at them. And it was a little small audience, and you could stand or sit and just sort of mill around, and there were maybe 24 people paying attention.
I came from the Dick Clark era. So if you saw somebody that was really attractive, Dick would play it. Jim Morrison, when I saw his picture, I said, if he could read the phone book on key, you're going to make millions. I met Danny when I went to see the group rehearsing.
And I said, I'm the New York press agent for the Doors. He said, oh, how wonderful, a press agent. We've never had a press agent connected with this company.
Who decided that you were the press agent for the Doors?
I did.
He kind of appeared to be a hippie yenta. I told Jack that I met somebody that knew everything and could wind up, with his knowledge, going after specific types of acts.
So I went up to Elektra and I said hi, and they said, oh, well, boy, are we happy to have a press agent. We've never seen one before. And I said, oh, I'm glad to be of help. By the way, I must say that they were doing one very intriguing song last night. I said it was real catchy. So they played me their first single, which was Break On Through. I said, that's not it. Something about a fire. Light My Fire. Oh, that can't be a single. It's 7 minutes long. And I said, that's too bad. Can't you cut it down? And they said, well, you can't cut down a song. It's heretical. You can't do that. Finally, they figured that it could be cut down. And they remembered that I was the first person outside the company who suggested that they really try to cut it down. And of course, with the release of that song, that became a different record company. Then they called me up from Elektra and asked me to come and work for them as a full-time to create a publicity department.
Danny was plugged into another part of the scene, the part of the scene that was bubbling under. But also, he stayed up later at night, and that was a big plus for us, because then Elektra was on the street while I was asleep.
We had great plans for him in our head then, because the buzz was starting to invent him as a major sex object. Gloria had seen pictures of him, was intrigued with his record and his photographs. This was my next thing, was I was going to go to California to set up a phone call between him and Gloria. I mean, this is how expense accounts worked in those days. I flew to California to set up a phone call. People in California, it was a joke then, but it was true. They would do one thing a day. And if you asked someone what they did, they would say, I washed my hair today. Long pause, and that was it. And you would say, oh, I, made a salad.
And that wasn't because of drugs?
No, I think they were all just winding down so fast and finding that they could, if everybody did this, then nobody would ask anybody to do anything more. And I saw them perform in San Francisco. It was very jolly. And I went backstage. I was horrified. It was like a sort of statue just sitting there, and there were all these groupie things, dirty girls, and just rags and dirt and things falling off them, and too much eye makeup and a dopey glazed look. I was concerned that this was bad for his image. What if a photographer got this? And Gloria had told me that they're always supposed to be alone. Alone is sexy. You're never supposed to see them with a girl. And I made him make the call to Gloria. She asked him her questions. I got on the phone with her. She said, that was very interesting. I look forward to meeting this young man. And then, as we were about to leave, I had a little electric bulb in my head, and I said, say, Jim, I'm staying with a interesting chanteuse called Nico up in the hills. And I thought I would bring him up there, and then he would fall in love with Nico, and then he would see the error of his ways in letting all these slimy little groupies, and he would never settle for a woman less beautiful or mystical or exotic than Nico. And since there weren't too many, then he would never have too many girlfriends, and my plot would be on its way. We finally got up to the house, and Nico was standing in a doorway, and he just looked at her. And she looked at him, and then they both cast their glances downward. And they stared at some imaginary spot on the floor in between them. And I tried to start a little chatteroony, and I saw this was going nowhere, that this was some kind of thing they were acting out. I came back about an hour later, they were still in the exact same positions. They hadn't moved.
And they hadn't said anything?
They hadn't said anything. This is their way of acknowledging, you're a beautiful, special, poetic person. I suppose Edie was after I had some pills with me. I always traveled with a little drug case then. I hid them somewhere under a bed and under a mattress and between two blankets and another mattress, and she got them. She found them, and she took about half of everything that was there. I don't know how she did. I don't know when she was in the room, but she did it. She was magical. She was having an affair with Dino Valenti. She wrote, "Come on, everybody, shine on your brother, let's love one another." And the evening wore by, and the day wore by, and he and I went up to the room, and we started smoking a lot of hash. I started making a major speech to him about, I have these things in mind for you, and life is a roller coaster, and stardom is a trip, and I didn't know what I was doing. I was just sounding like every movie I had ever seen about, what's in store, and play the game, and he would just open his palm about every 5 minutes and ask for another drug. Incredible amount of hash. About 6 hits of Orange Sunshine.
Nobody in those days got scared about, taking too much or
I was
dying?
scared. I thought he was going to die. I had never seen. This was enough drugs for me and everybody I met in 2 weeks in California.
But you kept giving it to him.
And I kept giving to him. He wouldn't answer. And I would say, well, what do you think about that? Flight of brilliance, Jim. Got any more acid, man? In the middle of the night, David Newman came running into my room and said, "Oh my God, you have to see what's happening." And she was in the courtyard. She was crying and screaming, and he was naked on top of this house, and he was walking on it, jumping over the gaps, totally naked. Jesus, what if he falls off? I'm not gonna lose my job. That's all I could think of. Who cared about him? She came flying into my room and threw herself on the bed, and she was crying hysterically. I never found out what had happened. He is so evil. Oh, he is so evil. Oh no, he'll calm down, go to bed. He's just stoned. I went to his car, and I took the keys out of the ignition and put them under a floor mat. The next morning dawned, and he said, "Give me my car keys." And I said, "No, you're in no condition to drive." And he was not smiling because it totally reversed everything that he stood for, everything that he tried to project. Nico and Edie suggested we go over to some friend of theirs' house who had a swimming pool. And we got to this house, he didn't have a bathing suit. So I went through this pile of bathing suits, and I said, "Here, Jim, this looks like it will fit you. Put this on, and then we will go swimming." "Where's my car keys, man?" I said, "I will find him later. Put this on." That's when he took off his thing and he got naked, and I saw his cock, which was very big.
What do you mean, very big?
It was long. It was like a salami. It was long. We all drove back to the house. We found that all the dining room chairs had been put on the table, and there was a still from Chelsea Girls on the back of it. It said, "Jim, your ass is mud. Call us and get to rehearsal fast." I said, "Have you looked under the mat of your car? Perhaps you put the keys there, as so many people do." And he gave me a look like, "Oh, so that's where you hit him." And he got him, and he drove away. And he hated me from that point on. He was constantly trying to get Jack Holzman to fire me.
Why?
From Elektra Records. Well, because I had kidnapped him.
Jim got really pissed, and he called me and he says, "Keep Danny Fields away from me, and I'm going to call Jack now."
The only other person I knew who wasn't a big fan of Danny's was Jim Morrison. If you get too close to one of your artists personally, that when you have to sit down and have a hard talk, it's tougher to do. But we needed someone to stay close to that group.
And you felt Danny was too close?
I have no idea.
In his later days, he is said to have become nicer. However, when I went to visit his widow to give her my condolences, the lovely Pamela, who didn't live long after that, and the dog kept jumping on me, and she told me it was Jim, and I went, "Oh," and he vomited on me. I swear to God, it's the truth. I have witnesses. and you know he won't die.
The reincarnation.
So he doesn't need a reincarnation. He is incarnated at all times.